Is this the best swim bait ever made? Let's talk about it.
Oh my gosh, there's two of them. Ooh, chasing big shad, chasing big shad. Got him. Put him in. Let's go.
All right, guys, we're talking about swim baits today. I have a newfound love for swim bait fishing. Now, don't get me wrong, I've been throwing the smaller like X-Zone mini swammers, Kitex, True Bass, 4-inch, 5-inch swim baits for years. It's one of my favorite techniques to do in the winter time, early spring, especially down below the dams and the tail races, all that heavy current for smallmouth and largemouth and spots too. But it's just a great way to catch a bunch of fish and a bunch of big fish. But today we're talking about more of your premium higher end swim baits, and the first one that comes to mind is the Bassmaster Dangerous loaded swim bait. Guys, I'm really impressed with this bait. I've only thrown it a couple times, but if it lets you know how good it was, how much I was impressed with the first two that I bought, I just went and ordered about $100 more of them. That's how much I believe in this swim bait. I really like it. But guys, we're gonna talk about this bait and then I'm gonna go out and catch some fish on it. But anyways, little backstory of this. Chris Zaldain actually designed this with the Bass Mafia team. And I know you guys, most of you guys watching know who Chris Zaldain is, especially if you're a swim bait guy. He was with Megabass for the longest, had a lot to do with all the designs of Megabass's really successful swim baits like the Mag Draft and all that. You know, he was one of the biggest pushers of that bait. He's a West Coast guy. He's had a lot of success and a lot of experience on these swim baits. So he moved to Bass Mafia a couple years ago, and that's when him and the Bass Mafia team developed this little guy right here. And this is a loaded swim bait. So what that means is that it's technically a line through swim bait. So right here at the nose, it's got a little hole for your line to go through. And whenever you're tying this on, you're just gonna run your line through there, and this hook actually pops out. And that's what makes this bait so cool. It's got a little magnet system buried right in there close to the head. And so whenever you tie this bait on, or whenever you catch a fish, that hook slides out and allows that bait to slide up the line. That way you get a really good hook set, get some good penetration from that hook into the fish's mouth. But anyways, after you tie it on or after you catch a fish, you just slide it back there. It's really easy, very high quality plastic. It's not gonna rip every time that hook's going in and out. And all you do is just grab your line right here and pull it. And you'll kind of hear it click a little bit. But it's just a really cool design, and what's cool about this bait is it doesn't roll over on its belly like a lot of baits do, or the way I like to rig some baits is I'll throw it on just, you know, like a 5/0 EWG or something similar like that, weightless. Fishing on like Smith Lake for floating docks in the spring and fall and stuff, and a lot of times it's not the best way to rig it because that bait will roll. But the way that they have designed this is perfect. I have not seen any rolling action on it yet. It stays streamlined, got that real hard flapping tail. The body, the head and the body stay straight, and the tail's the only thing that's moving. That's just the perfect action. But guys, this one is the 5-inch. And I like the 5-inch. It's a little bit smaller as opposed to, I think they've got a 7-inch, they've got a 6-inch, a 7-inch, I believe, and maybe a 9-inch. But when I'm throwing swim baits, I'm gonna look for a bait that's gonna catch big fish, but that I'm also gonna catch numbers on. And that's why I go with the 5-inch or the 6-inch. I'm gonna use the 6-inch more on like your deeper ledges and stuff once these fish really get offshore. But right now, I've been burning this up on some shell beds, up shallow, sitting boating like 5 foot, throwing up really shallow. And what's weird about today is all these fish, there's a bunch of current, it's been raining for the last couple days. All these fish have been wanting me to present the bait against the current, which is very against textbook style fishing, but I thought that was weird. I've seen it before, but most of the time, you know, you're gonna want to bring that bait down with the current, that more natural presentation. But today they were wanting it against it. But the Dangerous swim bait was really the only thing I could get bit on. I only had 2.5 hours out here to fish before work. I had a lot of fun catching a couple fish and making me even more of a believer in this bait. But guys, everything about this bait has been very high quality for me. I haven't caught a ton of fish on it yet, because this is only like my second outing with it, second or third outing. But the plastic is really high quality made. I haven't had any issues with it tearing. This one's caught a couple fish this morning and it still looks brand new, no issues. The 4/0 hook is really stout. I really like it. Haven't lost any fish with it. So overall, great design. So guys, let's go catch some fish on this Daingerous swim bait, and then we'll dive deep into the technique, you know, how to retrieve and all the gear that you use to catch the most fish possible on this thing.
Oh my gosh, that feels like a big one. I snagged him. He must have hit it and then I snagged him. That is a legal catch. Now I'll tell you what happened. So these fish are being real finicky. You know, I'm slow rolling it over across the shield bed. So I'm slow rolling it and that bass would hit it and I'll burn it because these fish are, you know, there's a bunch of bait fish out there. Here, let me let this fish go. There's a bunch of bait fish out there. And so there's a bunch of competition. Bunch of bass, bunch of white bass, and a bunch of bait. So, you know, chances are they're gonna be feeding on the live bait, right? That's what I would do if I was a fish. So you're kind of at a disadvantage using artificial bait. So as I was slow rolling that thing in, I felt the bass kind of nick at it, knew that he didn't want it, so I kind of burned it. And a lot of times that'll trigger their predatorial habit and just cause them to strike it. And you know, I burned it, that fish came back and it looks like I hooked them up under the belly. So paying attention to the bite when it's tough, when they're not really feeding, you know, on your bait, very good because I've got so much live bait out here. We just finished up a shad spawn. But paying attention to little stuff like that, especially when you're fishing some more bait fish imitating lures, can really help you get some more bites. There we go. Dude, that burning that bait. Look at that. Spotted bass. They're not big, but man, they're fun. And it's really cool the way that I'm getting them to bite. That one, like, I was just about to bring it back to the boat because I'm casting with the current, which is, you know, opposite of textbook what you should do. So I was slow rolling that and I was starting to burn it back and just got that spotted bass to fire on it, man. That's cool. It is real cool, guys. Man, I'm liking that bait. Dude, chasing big shad, chasing big shad. Got him. That's a man. Let's go. It can even be fished for schooling fish. I seen this bass out there chasing big old shad. Fired it up in there, burned that Daingerous swim bait on top of them. That's awesome, guys. Oh my gosh, there's two of them. Look at that big one.
So guys, this 5-inch Daingerous swim bait's really universal. As you saw me out there, I was slow rolling it offshore on these shell beds, and these fish were being real finicky. We just got done with the shad spawn, so there's a ton of shad out here. And whenever you have a bunch of the real stuff, it's gonna be hard to contend with an artificial bait. And so you gotta do little things to get these fish to trigger, get them to bite. And one thing I was noticing, it was a lot of times I was just slow rolling it on the bottom and I would get a bite and they would never take it. And so what I started doing is when I would get in that sweet spot or whenever I would feel that bite, I would kind of burn it, give the reel handle like a turn or a half a turn or even more, like starting to reel it into the boat, and it would just trigger these fish to strike. And so I thought that was really cool. I actually had that on a couple bites the last time I was out here, so I think there's something to that. So you're either slow rolling it or you're gonna be slow rolling it and giving it a pop, and what that's doing is it's allowing the bait to raise up a little bit off the bottom, and it's causing that tail to kick a little bit more, be more sporadic and stuff. And it's kind of like a bait fish darting away, triggering the predatorial instinct of that fish to bite it. You know, fish, you got to kind of do it like a cat and mouse. It's kind of like pinging a minnow. You know, once you see that fish starting to commit, you're going to kind of burn it away to keep that fish going at it, because, you know, they get intrigued. They want to chase the bait, especially if they're active. So another way, there was a fish out here blowing up on top water, busting some big shad out of the water, and I threw this thing on him and started just burning it across the top of the water, and I caught him. But traditionally, if I'm gonna be burning a bait on top of the water or fishing it shallow, like around docks and stuff, I'm gonna go with the Megabass Mag Draft, just because, I mean, it's a hard to beat bait, especially up shallow, or if you're fishing it on top of the water. It's a harness style bait. But they actually make 2 different versions of the Daingerous swim bait. This is the deep version. Of course, it's the 5-inch like I've talked about at the beginning of the video, but this weighs 1 ounce, so it's really easy to keep on the bottom. But they also make a shallower version. I don't know exactly how heavy it is, just because I knew that it's hard to beat the Mag Draft when you're fishing it on top of the surface, so I just didn't even bother buying them. I bought all deep versions in the 5 and the 6 inch, because a 5 or 6 inch swim bait is perfect in my opinion, unless you're really chasing those big bass, and you're okay with only getting a couple bites a day. You can go to like that 7 or 9 inch or the bigger sizes. But for me, I want to catch as many fish possible, but I also want to catch those big fish too. So that's why I do the 5 or the 6 inch. But guys, they got a bunch of different colors. This is the one I was throwing today. I believe it is the Tennessee Shad. It's the only one in this color that I have, but I got a couple more that look really good. This is the Blackback Shad. It's in the pack, but it was actually the first one I ever bought. I ended up losing it in a brush pile, but I caught a bunch of fish on this. I got the Ghost IU. I got this one. It's got the Ghost IU. It looks similar to that Tennessee Shad, except it's got a chartreuse line down the middle. And I got this one specifically for, you know, like heavy current, muddier, stained water. It's a great color. I love that chartreuse. And bass out here, especially on the Tennessee River, just love chartreuse, so why not? And then got a couple 6 inches. But like I said, the 5 inch is gonna be my go-to. But guys, as far as my rod setup, I like this Duckett Jacob Wheeler 7.6 heavy action. This is a great rod. It's got a great backbone down here, and that's what you want as you're slow rolling stuff. But it's also long, got that soft tip, very sensitive. I can really feel me ticking over across every little shell, every little rock, every little thing. And then making long casts with any moving bait is really important. So this long rod's gonna allow me to cast it far. And one thing that's important about using a long rod is when you get hung up, you're gonna be able to get that bait unhung easier with, you know, a 7.6 heavy, especially heavy action. You're gonna be able to pull on that bait, pop it, whatever you need to do to get it unhung. And plus, you just really drive that hook good with this bigger rod. So that's why I choose this. I've got a Duckett Paradigm reel that's a 7.5 to 1 gear ratio. You know, anywhere from a 6.8 to a 7.5 is going to be ideal. I would actually probably go with a 6 to 8, especially if you're in colder water, which you don't have to worry about that right now. It's late spring, early summer, but this 7.5 to 1 is great for burning it, especially like that one fish I caught on top of the water. I was able to burn it and keep that bait up since that fish was chasing bait on top of the surface. But they recommend 15 to 20 pound fluorocarbon on this, and I've got 15 pound Berkeley Trilene 100% fluoro. But guys, I hope you learned something from this video. I think that this is one of the best swim baits I've ever used. Very great quality bait. Been very impressed with it, and I'm really excited to keep throwing this thing and the 6 inch, and I might buy some more of the bigger ones as we move into the summertime. I'm really looking forward to going out and throwing this big old joker out there on these Gunnersville ledges, or anywhere on the TVA really. Wheeler Lake, Pickwick, they eat this thing, guys. But guys, I got a link down to Tackle Warehouse where you can go check out the Bass Mafia swim baits. They're really, I think, in every online retailer. They're getting really popular. They've been real successful on sales. A lot of people are catching fish on them, and I see why, because I really love this bait. But guys, hope you enjoyed this video. Make sure to leave a like, subscribe, comment down below, and we'll see you in the next one.
Oh my gosh, there's 2 of them.